Welcome back, MTN Nets podcast. I have not talked to you guys in a very long time. According to my laptop, it's been 98 days, 21 hours, which is when I reacted to the Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson trade. But as we sit here today, the NBA season, or regular season, begins in 15 days for the Brooklyn Nets on October 22nd. They had their first preseason game on Saturday. I was in attendance for that. It was a good time. A lot of new faces. I went to the last game last year and I'm just like realizing, man, there's a lot of new people on this team. So that, of course, brings a lot of excitement. I know for the Nets this season, the expectations are not high. Their over-under win total is 20.5, so you're not expecting much there. Last season, they went 26-56. And I will say off the bat, I think they will surpass 20.5 wins. I think this is a young, hungry group and some guys that still have to prove themselves in the NBA. And of course, it's different from last year. Last year, coming into the year, it was still Dorian Finney-Smith. You had Dennis Schroeder on the team. You had Ben Simmons still on the team. You had D'Angelo Russell, guys like that. Of course, D'Lo came later in the year, but you had more veterans. Now you have, I think the oldest guy on this team is, today at least, 28 years old. I think Terrence Mann turns 29 next week. So, yeah, 28 years old is the oldest guy on this team right now, which is pretty insane. But I would say it's a good thing for a team like this that needs to build a new culture, as they like to say. And obviously with 5 draft picks in the first round this year, that's going to help do that. So the rest of preseason, they play in China on Friday and Sunday, which I believe, based on the time difference, it's like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., I think, are the games, so I probably won't be up. I mean, I'll probably watch it Friday because I'll be at work, but anyway, and then they play Friday at Toronto on 10/17, which I think is next Friday, and then the opener is in Charlotte on the 22nd. Of course, as always, leave a like, subscribe, all that. We'll be making Brooklyn Nets content throughout the season. I usually do reactions every, 5 to 10 games or so. Obviously, with them not being as competitive nowadays, I feel like when they had the superstars here, I was making videos like every 2 or 3 games, but in a season like this where they're most likely going to win somewhere from 20 to 30 games, we'll do check-ins every 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So I have a mixture of some observations I had from Saturday's game. I'll actually put some clips in the background, so if you're listening to the podcast version, maybe this is the video to watch the video, because I will put some clips of the game that I took myself. I know my camera isn't great on my phone, but it'll do. Yegor Demin, or Diomin, still not 100% sure how to pronounce it, but he did not play. A plantar fascia tear. That sounds scary, but it's a pretty common sports injury nowadays, and I would think maybe he doesn't make it for the opener, but soon after, I would think by at least November, we get to see Yegor play in his first regular season game. So I saw him Saturday. I actually got his autograph on this little, I don't even know what kind of basketball this is, but I got his autograph right there. So that was cool. But yeah, he was a nice guy. Like even my girlfriend who was at the game with me pointed out, she was like, oh, he said thank you when the Gatorade person gave him a drink. He was like, oh, thank you. So I don't know, just a well-mannered guy. Like Yegor seems like off the court, perfect dude. On the court, he did add some muscle, we saw, so that's cool. I mean, obviously, it's probably a good time to lift and gain some upper body strength because of the foot injury. And overall, I am most excited to watch him because the Nets took him with their first pick and 8th overall. But I also think I left Summer League wanting more with Yegor Demin. I think there's a lot more there. Obviously, he had some issues with ball handling and playing through contact and things like that, but you can see it. He had that really cool left-hand dunk where he basically took off from half court and just made a bolt for the basket and had this nice tomahawk left-hand dunk. And we saw the three-point shot look pretty good at times too. And of course, he can be a great creator. So I know right now he's not playing, and Ben Saraf actually got the start at point guard. I really do think if Yegor was healthy, they would try to give him that starting job, but since he's not healthy, they may have to work him in slowly. And we've seen this with Nets rookies before. I mean, Karis LeVert is a famous example. Had to kind of work his way up from the foot injury. Even the hell was his name? He was a veteran. TJ Warren. He had the same thing where I think it was a foot injury. He had to work his way up. Now, I don't think Yegor will take as long to play play as those guys did, because I think Karras and TJ Warren took at least a couple months. I'm hoping Yegor at most misses like 2 weeks, but we'll have to see. And I think at some point this year, assuming he's healthy, he will start some games and he'll show us some flashes. And it's not going to be perfect right away because he's still a pretty skinny guy and he still has to improve his ball handling and probably has to improve his jump shot even more. But there is a ton of upside, ton of size, and I'm looking forward to watching him play. Drake Powell, also injured. He did not play in Summer League, of course. At least Yegor played in Summer League. We have not seen Drake Powell play in an actual game yet, so that sucks. But he's still out because, it's concerning, though. It's a left knee tendinopathy, which doesn't sound terrible. I think I had this injury once, and it took a while to feel like 100%, so I kind of get it, but I'm assuming this guy is getting better treatment than I was. Apparently, he's supposed to possibly play in some of the upcoming preseason games. Like, it seems like he's close to getting there. And even Yegor, when I watched him jog back to the tunnel, he looked good. I mean, of course, jogging into a tunnel and playing in an NBA game is much different, but at least these guys aren't out there limping around, so I would assume that they're close-ish to returning. Drake Powell, it seems like, is closer to returning than Yegor is. The Nets starters on Saturday were Ben Saraf, once again, Cam Thomas, who I have not talked to you guys since that happened as well. Cam Thomas, of course, takes the qualifying offer, 1-year deal. Not too surprising given to, where his market was and things like that. It's a little risky because if he has a great year and just is completely fed up with this organization, he will leave because he's an unrestricted free agent, but I'm hoping that Cam balls out and the Nets actually buy into him long term and they sign him to a long deal. So that would be best for both parties, but we'll see. So Cam at shooting guard, Saraf at point guard. You had Terrence Mann at the 3. You had Michael Porter Jr. making his Nets debut at the 4, and Nick Claxton at the 5. I would say Saraf, besides the foul trouble, because he had like 3 fouls in what felt like 2 minutes, he looked pretty impressive. He looked much better than Summer League, I will say. He took it hard to the rim. I think first play of the game, he took it to the rim, right-hand dribble, tried to do a reverse off the backboard with his left hand. He is a lefty. He kind of overcooked it, so he missed a layup, but just that aggression to get there, because we once had a point guard named Ben not too long ago that was afraid to go at the basket. So yeah, I'm taking my shots at Ben Simmons already. But he did knock down a 3, took it hard to the basket. He looked strong with the ball in his hands. I mean, they were playing this Israeli team, so not the best competition. I mean, I get that. But he looked strong with the ball in his hands, and he made some nice passes. He had a nice pass to Kobe Buffkin in the corner on just a whip around pass with his left hand, so that was cool. But he looked like comfortable, at least at point guard. So he's a big dude. I think he's like 6'7", 6'8". Ben Saraf, I like his pace. I like the craftiness to his game. When I watched him, he gave me little flashes of Jalen Brunson and I think somebody else I mentioned. I don't know if I was crazy enough to say James Harden, but there were parts of his game where I was like, I kind of see, similarities to guys like that. But obviously he has a long way to go to become, I might have said Luka, because he had some movements like Luka. Obviously he's not Luka, but it's just the way he plays. But of course, Saraf has a long way to go to reach anywhere near that level. But as of right now, he might have the best chance to be the starting point guard opening night, because I think I saw a quote a couple months ago that the Nets are fine starting a rookie at point guard, and it seemed like it was going to be a 3-way competition between Yegor and Saraf and Nolan Traore. And right now, Traore is coming off the bench. Saraf is starting. Now, that could change. They can end up starting Traore at point guard next game in China. But at least for the first game, it may be because they were playing the Israeli team and maybe they wanted to give Saraf that, tip of the cap and give him that start in front of a lot of people that are fans of his. But nonetheless, he got the start. He looked pretty good, so we'll see. But I do think a rookie has a real chance to start at point guard because the Nets drafted 3 point guards basically. But I would say if they were all healthy, I would say Yegor probably gets it. But now that he's hurt, it seems like a real toss-up with Saraf and Traore, and I would lean Saraf right now because that's the guy who got the first start. So I feel better about him, Saraf, as compared to how I felt on draft night. I think a lot of Nets fans were not big fans of the Saraf pick, but for right now at least, he looks better than he did in Summer League. I know it's one game once again, but still, he looks more confident, so I like that. Cam Thomas, he came in looking different. Media day dropped, and a lot of people were like, whoa, different looking guy. Cam Thomas, he dropped about 10 pounds, and he looked quick. He had a nice move on the left baseline, led to a reverse layup off the backboard, and I know, once again, not the best defenders, but still, he looked quick getting to the basket, and he was looking to pass more during the game. He had 4 assists, and he passed up some shots that I think in the past he would have taken. Now, I'm not sure if he was just intentionally going out of his way to pass the ball more because it was a preseason game, or maybe this is just him turning over a new leaf and realizing, yeah, I gotta pass the ball a little more. So we'll see how that transpires throughout the regular season. As I said, playing on a 1-year deal, he'll be motivated. He turns 24 on October 13th, so coming up soon. So still a young player. He has yet to play a full season, really. I mean, his rookie season, he played a lot, but not like a complete full season. Obviously, last year, I think only played 25 games with 3 separate hamstring injuries, so that sucked. And I'm still holding my Cam Thomas stock. I sound like Bill Simmons saying that, but yeah, I still believe in Cam Thomas. I'm not sure what his ceiling is, but I think there's a world where he can be an all-star reserve. I don't think he'll ever be an all-star starter. I don't think he'll ever be like a top 5 MVP type of guy, but a guy that I think can finish top 5 in points per game, and I think once again can also be an all-star reserve. Now that, of course, his reputation has to change. He has to pass the ball more, has to be a bit more efficient, has to play better defense. But if that all comes together, and what better than this year, because contract year, he's dropped weight, looks faster, looks more in shape, this could be the year to do it. So hopefully by the time February comes around, we're talking about Cam Thomas making the All-Star game. That would be great. For Terrence Mann making his Nets debut, he's kind of a forgotten man on this team, because even when I first got to my seats, I was like, who the hell is that guy? Is that DeMarre Carroll? Like, who is that? But no, it was Terrence Mann, and I low-key forgot he was on the Nets. Because really, when the Nets got Terrence Mann, the main part of it was getting the draft pick that was attached to him that led to Drake Powell. I don't think many of us cared about getting Terrence Mann because, you know, it's like Terrence Mann has been declining in recent years. He hasn't had the same role he once did, and I think he had some injuries as well. But now on the first year of a 3-year deal, $47 million total, he's making about $15 million per year. Not a massive contract, but a decent sized contract, but you can use that to trade him for hopefully a future superstar one day. We'll see. But he turns 29 on the 18th. So once again, he's the oldest guy on this team, I believe, and he's still 28 years old as of today, so that's pretty crazy. He looked really good Saturday. He shot 6 of 7, had 15 points, which led the team actually. But a 6'5", 215-pound wing, if he's healthy and playing well, that could be attractive to a contending team. As I said, the contract is relatively affordable. I don't think $15 million per year is anything crazy if he's playing well, so we'll see if teams actually want him, or maybe it'll be during the summer. It could be next year's trade deadline, so we'll see. But I don't think Terrence Mann is a part of the Nets' future. I'd be surprised if he's on the next Nets team that goes on to win 45, 50 games, but I guess crazier things have happened. Michael Porter Jr., quite the offseason for him with the weird offseason comments, and he had a quote about possibly retiring soon because he does have to do a lot of rehab with his back injuries. Of course, he had, I think, multiple back surgeries, so the guy has to do like a lot of like rehab, I'm sure, and he has to do a lot just to get out there on the court, so respect to him for that. But he did look good out there, had 13 points on 5 of 9 shooting, knocked down a couple threes. He just looks smooth. I mean, the dribbling part of his game is not going to change. Like, I don't think he'll ever be a 6'10" forward that can do it all, right? He's just not that guy, but you're talking about catching and shooting and even moving without the basketball, which is something he did. There was a nice play with him and Saraf where Saraf had the ball, I think, on like the left baseline, left elbow maybe, and he found Porter Jr. cutting for like a wide open dunk, and that was a good play. He's never averaged more than 19 points per game in a season, and he's never had more than 13 shot attempts per game, and I think he can pass both of those. Now, I don't think he'll average 25, but I could see him averaging 21, 22 points per game. I can see him taking 15 shots per game. That would not be too crazy. Now, he just turned 27 in June, so he's still young. Cam Johnson was 29, so the Nets technically got 2 years younger with that trade. But on the downside, he does have cap hits of $38 and $40 million per year over the next 2 seasons. So he'll probably put up good stats on a bad team. That's just how it's going to go. But I'm curious to see how much his game changes because, once again, I don't think he's a great creator with the ball in his hands, but he will hopefully take more shots. He will probably score more. He'll be asked to shoulder the load more than he ever did with Denver. So I guess there is some untapped potential, but we'll have to see what it amounts to. Nick Claxton entering his 7th season. Wow, at the age of 26. It looked like he worked on his three-point shot. I was watching him closely in shoot-around. It looked like a more smooth jump shot. He took one from the top of the key in the game. He made it, so he's shooting 100% from three so far in the preseason. I'll take that. So far, no injuries or any concerns like that, because I feel like the last couple of years he's had the hamstring injury early in the year. He had the back injury early in the year. I think that was last year. So nothing like too big, but Claxton's had some nagging injuries the past couple years, and I think some of us get frustrated because he's came into these seasons the last 2 years starting out kind of slow, but hopefully now that he's healthy, knock on wood, he is able to start out looking good and not have to work his way up and getting himself in shape and getting more healthy. He's in his second year of a 4-year deal. It's a descending contract. It's $25 million this year, $23 million next year, and then $20 million in the final year in the year after. Of course, if Saraf or Yegor or even Traore, if any of those guys become like stars in their rookie year, which I'm not expecting that, but if they do and they're great passers, which is possible, and he works to pick and roll with those guys, then obviously that can benefit Claxton more than anybody else on this roster, because to make Claxton great, he pretty much has to have a point guard that can set him up above the rim, throwing alley-oops and giving him great bounce passes off pick and rolls, things like that. Something I don't like about the pick and roll combination of Saraf and Claxton, and I think this was a problem with the Kings with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, because Fox and Sabonis are both lefties. So Fox is going to his strong side, he has to go left. Sabonis is also a lefty. So if you're picking and rolling, if you're Sabonis and Fox is going to his left, Sabonis has to pretty much finish with his right hand. So it didn't really work out. Now I have my concerns because Saraf is a lefty and of course Claxton is a lefty. So not sure how much that'll matter, but it's something to just keep in the back of your mind, and we'll see if the chemistry is there between those two. Another rookie, Nolan Traore, he definitely has a shot to be in the rotation early, especially with Yegor injured. It kind of opens the door for him. It seems like he'll be the second unit ball handler for now. He did hit a 3 in transition on Saturday. He showed his downhill speed. He did get the ball ripped from him around like the right block. He was trying to make a drive and then pass it out. The ball got stripped away from him, so that was his one turnover though, so not the worst thing. What I'm focusing on with him is shooting consistency, because that has to be more consistent, his defense, and his play strength in the NBA, because he is a pretty skinny guy. He's still very young, probably doesn't have enough muscle yet, so we'll see how much the NBA play strength really matters for a guy like him, or maybe he'll be too fast and it won't matter. Day'Ron Sharpe, another guy like Cam Thomas who definitely lost some weight in the offseason. They were in the same draft class too, so that's funny how that works. And I think it'll help, because one of the first things I ever noticed about Day'Ron Sharpe when watching him play was I didn't really like the lift on his vertical leap. I mean, he's a strong guy, he's a great rebounder, fantastic rebounder, but I feel like his vertical leap was not too impressive. Maybe dropping some weight will improve that. He's good at getting off the ground quickly, like the way he can jump and then miss, get his own rebound and like just out jump guys that way. Like that's great, but I feel like he never really jumped the highest. Not that it's affected his game too much, but in terms of playing above the rim, it's kind of hurt him in that sense. The jump shot still looks pretty good. He hit a 3-pointer on Saturday straight away. What I'm focusing on with him is the jump shot improved? Like, can he actually knock down 35% of his corner threes? Does the weight loss help him move better, jump better, and can he play a full season? Because 61 games is the highest games played in his career. And I think this year, as compared to other years, he's going to be asked to play more. Claxton, of course, could get hurt. The back stuff, you never know. Could get traded. I don't think it'll be soon, but it's always possible. And I don't think Danny Wolf is exactly ready to be in the rotation yet, so really the only big men that are going to play on this team are Clax and Day'Ron, so he might be looking at 20 plus minutes per night to start out, so we'll see what he does with that. But he's back on a new contract. I'm happy he's back, so good to see Day'Ron back. Zaire Williams also on a new contract. He's probably no longer a starter like he was last year. The big thing for him is, can the jump shot keep improving? In Memphis, he went from 25% from 3 to 30% from 3 to 34% from 3 in his first year with the Nets. And if that gets better, like if he can go from 25 to 30 to 34 to maybe 37% this year or even more, then you're talking about one of the more elite 3-and-D players in the NBA. Like, that's the upside we have here. I'm sure the on-ball creation will never be there, but as we know, in this league, like, the 3-and-D guys have a role. Like, Dorian Finney-Smith carved out a role with the Mavericks for sure. Even OG Anunoby with the Knicks, or Jaden McDaniels, guys like that. So if he can turn into that, I mean, we're looking good. But overall, he's a nice player to have. I don't think Zaire Williams will ever be an all-star. He probably won't even be close. But for a guy that plays his role and plays it well, like, you need guys like that on your team. He's a guy that can lock up a team's best player, or at least make a best player's life tough. And I think Jordi Fernandez probably loves having a guy like that, a guy that's intense on defense and hustles, and of course knocks down his shots. So hopefully that jump shot keeps improving. Noah Clowney, another guy who transitioned his body in the offseason. This time, like, he was already skinny enough, so that was not a problem, but he definitely added on some muscle in the offseason. He's heading into his third year, age 21 season, and we'll see if putting on more muscle can help him play against stronger players, which has been an issue. I've seen him try to dunk on people before, and that's not everything, of course, but it hasn't gone well. But in terms of banging bodies down low, that's not really been a part of Clowney's game the first 2 years of his career. He's been shooting the ball pretty well from three. He's shooting 33% from downtown in his career. But for other things, like, can he be a better defender? Can he rebound better? Can he do more with the ball in his hands? Can he do more with the ball in his hands in transition? Because with that body type, when he's coming downhill at you, I mean, I would say it's advantage Clowney more times than not. Obviously, last year for him was frustrating as fans because I think he had the ankle injury, so he missed some time with that. But even when he played, it was like a lot of just chucking up three-pointers. There was really no in-between. And then defensively, he just wasn't strong enough. So I'm hoping that putting on weight will help a lot of that, and it helps him become more of a well-rounded player, so we'll have to see. But I'm looking forward to Clowney. I feel like I was kind of getting out on him, but now I'm back in. Like, now that he's transitioned his body, I'm like, all right, we're back. Let's see how it looks. Because coming into last year, I think all of us were excited for what Clowney's upside could be, and then we were all disappointed, so I hope it's back. Danny Wolf, I would say the glaring thing for him, and it's not good, is he did not look too fast. He looks slow out there, but you can definitely see the upside. It's the same thing in Summer League where, like, he'll look slow at times with the foot speed, but a guy at 6'11", 7 feet that can just see the floor the way he does and can even shoot the ball the way he does, handle the ball the way he does. Like, even in his small sample size, he put up a 5, 5, and 5 line. So if you give this guy enough minutes, he might have put up a triple-double on Saturday. It took him a while to play. I don't think he came in until like the late third quarter, so it took him a while. I don't think he'll be in the rotation right away. He may have to get a bit stronger to kind of bang bodies down low. I think at one point he kind of got bodied by somebody on Saturday. The turnovers can be an issue. He had 2 on Saturday. I think they were pretty bad ones too. And he's just a really crafty player that has a ton of upside. He has the size to be an NBA player. I think the strength and the consistency has to improve. And obviously he can get a bit quicker as well on his feet. I feel like if you're him, you have to lean into one or the other. Like, you're either going to put on more muscle and not really care about moving your feet on defense, or you lose weight and become more nimble on defense. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Wolf has to kind of pick a path and see where to go from here. Obviously, with the way the NBA is moving, I would prefer him to just drop some weight and become even more versatile on defense, but if he wants to go the other route and add on some weight, then that can work too. I mean, we'll see. He's gotten the poor man Jokic comparisons before, and obviously Jokic doesn't have the greatest foot speed. So if Danny Wolf can become the Walmart Jokic and put on some weight, then okay, I'm fine with that. But I'm excited for him. I think, like, the Danny Wolf pick got me really excited. I think the possibilities are endless for a guy like that. It just hasn't come together completely yet, but I'm hoping at some point it will. He's still 21 years old, so you never know. Speaking of 21 years old, Dariq Whitehead, year 3, he is 21 now. Did not play until the fourth quarter on Saturday, so doesn't really have much of a rotation spot, not much of a role. I'm not sure if he even makes the roster at this point. The vibes kind of seem off with him. I'm not sure if the organization lost faith or what it is, but I don't know, something just seems off with him right now. We know the guy can shoot the ball, standing still, catch and shoot, stationary shots. He does that as well as anybody. But can he do anything else is the real question. Can he get to the rim? Because he's had an issue with that. I don't think he has the confidence in his body to do it. Of course, he's had so many injuries in college and whatnot. I think he had like a broken foot and some other stuff. And he still may not have felt 100% in his body. But if he feels healthy now and has overcome that mental side of it where maybe physically he was healthy, but mentally he still didn't feel it. If he's now mentally there, which I did see him drive to the basket on Saturday, and it looked good. I think he made the layup, which I think was his only 2 points. But even on that one play, I was like, we didn't see that last year. That's good. Like, I'll take that from Dariq Whitehead. So if we get more of that, that's great. I think that'll really help him carve out a role. But as for right now, he doesn't really have a role. He can go to the G League once again, but for a guy in his 3rd year, it's probably not what he wants. But I think as of right now, there's just not going to be a rotation spot. So I don't want to give up on him yet. He's still 21, and I'm hoping that he's finally mentally right from all the injuries, but we'll have to wait and see. Kobe Buffkin, who they got from Atlanta, the 15th overall pick in 2023. He looked pretty solid on Saturday. He made his shots. He showed some on-ball creation. The past 2 years with the Hawks, he's had thumb and shoulder injuries. He's only played in 27 NBA games. And of course, during his time in Atlanta, he had issues with shooting consistency and turnovers. But still, at 22 years old, I mean, this is the kind of guy you want to take a shot on. The Nets kind of did this with Killian Hayes last year, but that was a whole weird experience. I'm hoping they would give Kobe Buffkin an actual shot because I feel like Killian Hayes didn't get an actual shot. But yeah, he might be the end of the bench guy. He might get some minutes here and there. I don't think he'll have like a top 8 or 9 spot in the rotation right off the bat, but it might get there at some point. So we'll see if Kobe Buffkin can turn into something here. And Haywood Highsmith, who the Nets got maybe like a month ago. I think they got a 2nd round pick for him. This could be like Bojan Bogdanovic from last year where he just never plays. He had a meniscus tear in his right knee. He underwent surgery in August, and I think the plan was for him to come back in late October, but I highly doubt the Nets will rush it because they don't need him to come back. It's not like the Nets are fighting for a playoff spot. At least that should not be the goal right now. So there's no point to rush back a veteran like Haywood Highsmith. And I've always liked him on the Heat, but he's now 28 years old. I just don't think he fits the timeline for this team. So I don't know. He might play a tiny bit and might get traded to a contender at the deadline or something, maybe even before that. So we'll have to see. But I would say like that's pretty much who I wanted to go over. There's nobody else I really cared about going. Like even Jalen Wilson, I kind of feel like he is what he is. I'm just not really too enthusiastic about him. Drew Timme has his moments, but I don't think Drew Timme is a long-term solution at center. But at least this year, as compared to last year, there are things to watch and be excited for. All the young players they have, guys that are 19, Ben Saraf, Deoman, Traore, they're all 19. Drake Powell's 20. Clowney, Dariq, Wolf, they're all 21. And I think just seeing how a team whose best players are Nick Claxton, Cam Thomas, and Michael Porter Jr., seeing how that whole dynamic works with a rookie point guard, I feel like that's must-see TV, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we might miss some games here and there, but for the most part, I do want to see how this team looks. And the very bad news we got, I forgot to bring this up, was that Ian Eagle is scaling back on his Nets announcing games. Like, that sucked to see. I saw that like 2 nights ago. I think Sunday night I saw that. Of course, Ian Eagle is one of the best announcers of all time, and to watch a bad basketball team, it sucks, but when you have an Ian Eagle type announcer, it makes it better. But now that he won't be there for majority of games, I think they said he's only doing like 10 to 15 Nets games this year, which feels like nothing. That of course sucks, but hey, he's one of the best in the business. He probably got a better deal. I think he's doing something with Amazon, so good for him. But at least they have his son, right? So they can at least get another Eagle in the broadcasting booth, so we'll take that. But either way, that sucked to see. But yeah, I do think the Nets will surpass their win total. I think 20.5 is pretty low. Reminds me of last year, because even last year they had too many veterans. It just didn't really make sense. It always felt like that win total. I think last year's win total was like 19.5 or something, so at least this year it's a tiny bit higher. But this team is younger, so I do think they will make a bit more mistakes. Like last year was 26 wins. This year I'm expecting 24, so I have them at 24-58 is my Nets record prediction for this year. And I think this year I won't be crashing out as much when they win games. Last year was very annoying because they had these veterans and they were winning these games early. I think the Nets started out the year like 8-10 or something. Like they had a good record through the first 17-18 games. And when you're winning games in what should be a tanking season with 30-year-olds out there like Dorian Finney-Smith and Schroeder and Ben Simmons and Cam Johnson, all those, I almost said Mikal Bridges, that was 2 years ago, but when you're winning games with those guys, it got very annoying. So at least this year, they're going very young, and even like the older players they have, they shouldn't make that much of an impact. I guess Michael Porter Jr. will have a game or two where he scores 35 points and looks great and maybe helps them win a game. But I could see it working out well. I guess there's a world that exists where one of these rookies really steps up. Like if Ben Saroff is just amazing from day one and the Nets somehow get to 30 wins, I guess it wouldn't be the most shocking thing. They have a head coach in Jordi Fernandez that makes these guys hustle and gets the most out of them. So I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I feel like this could be the last year of tanking because the Nets don't have their own pick next year. I think that still belongs to Houston, I believe. So this is the last year the Nets own their first round pick. Yeah, 2026 they have their own pick, and then in 2027 they have a first from the Knicks. Houston has a right to swap in 2027. So assuming Houston is good, which they probably should be next year, then the Rockets will get the better pick. So even if the Nets finish with the first overall pick in 2027, the Rockets would still get it, which that sucks. And then going forward, they have their own first round picks, but they don't have it in 2027. So if you're Brooklyn, you have your own pick for this year. So the Nets, it'd be in their best interest to lose games this season, but then start to win games next season in 2026-27, because you don't want Houston getting like a top 5 pick from one of your previous picks. That would be a bad look. And I think if, I were Joe Tsai and ownership, I would give Sean Marks this year, and I would give him the offseason next year and say, all right, you have a ton of draft picks. You took 5 guys in the first round this year. You're going to have another offseason next year to build a contender. And if you come up short or this team sucks in 2026-27, then that's it. Like I think Sean Marks has had more than enough time here to overcome the loss of the superstars. You can't blame them anymore. And at some point, you have to get this organization back on track. I know some ownership groups don't care, and I still am iffy if Joe Tsai even cares about the success of this team. But hopefully these draft picks turn out to be great players, and just through gathering talent, they'll become a good team one day. I mean, I think they're building this thing the right way. I don't think they did anything too stupid the past 2 years. Ever since the Mikal Bridges trade, I think they've been on the right track. But even during the season last year, it was frustrating once again to play all these veterans and win these quote-unquote meaningless games. And then to see a team like Philly, who had aspirations to compete for a title, jump you in the tankathon standings and end up with the, third overall pick and get VJ Edgecombe? Like, that was awful to watch, and I couldn't stand it. So I think the Nets could have done a much better job last year of getting a better pick. We know that. We've been through that. But now that they have 5 rookies, I don't think I'll care as much if they win games, but the 2026 draft class is supposedly very good as well, and I'm hoping that somehow in next year's lottery, the Nets get lucky for once, which I won't get my hopes up because they never do. But let's hope they're right. Let's hope the Yegor pick was right. Let's hope that they got Traore right and everybody else, Drake Powell and Saroff and Danny Wolf. But yeah, Saturday was fun. It was a good game to go to. I mean, the Nets won by like 40 points. I mean, that's what you expected. So to see your team win by a lot, it's nice. See guys play well. I don't think anybody had like a bad game on Saturday, so that's good. But yeah, that'll do it. I'll talk to you guys at some point early in the regular season. Might be after opening night, might be after the first home game. We'll see. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave in the comments, what's your record prediction for this Nets team in 2025-26? And do you like the direction they're going in? Because that, sometimes you get different answers with that one. For now, I like it. I think they're doing the right things now. I think a lot can change next offseason, and they can go in a completely different direction. So as of today, I feel good about it, but next summer, I might have a totally different answer. So we'll see. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next time.